Give you the highlights. I'm probably going to do like an hour, maybe hour 20 minutes teaching, and then Scotty's going to come up and finish this week's parsha on Balak. Okay?
I'll do 20 minutes.
All right, Scotty.
Now, this parsha that we're going to be talking about is in Bat Mivad, Numbers chapter 19. That's where we're going to start, 19:1. And it has to do with what we call the teaching on the red heifer. A lot of speculation and a lot of talk has been hey, shalom, shalom, shalom. A lot has been said about this parsha. And this parsha is very unique in a way because you try to understand it, and it's mind-boggling. And the reason why I'm saying this because, as you're going to hear me share with you, how could it be that a person who is pure performs the ritual on the person that's impure? The person that's impure gets pure, and the person who was pure gets impure. And then they have to go through the whole ritual of purification. What we need to understand here is that this parsha is so unique that the more you dig into it, the more we find. I'm going to share with you a little story here that I have in a book that I bought, and I was showing Scott that I'm going to be getting some more from this center. There is an illustration there where it says that after the turmoil of no water, because you have the parsha, the first part of the parsha is the parsha on the red heifer. And then you have the place where Miriam dies, and then Aaron dies. After Aaron dies, there is a conflict of interest there between Bnei Israel and Moses. Moses is accused of rape.
Really?
Yes. He's accused of rape. Of course, that affected him in a way that unprecedented things happen. But in the end result, God in all His wisdom showed him something that we all need to know. It has been said that there is a Moses born in every generation. And every time that Moses comes to that generation, he goes back and he tells Abba Father, the people are not ready.
Yeah.
And the reason why he says that the people are not ready is because when he says that the people are ready, Mashiach is here. In other words, we go from life into eternal life. We don't see death. So, in a nutshell, you're going to hear me share that in its detail. But the first part of this parsha talks about the red heifer. Numbers chapter 19, Bat Mivad 19, that's where we're going to start. And there's a lot. There is a whole lot of information that I'm going to share. And I try to nip and pick some of the things that are on some of the highlights. And I'm going to ask you all to help me read when we get to the staff of the serpent. Hi.
Hello.
The bronze serpent. I'm going to ask you a question. We know that Bnei Israel is rebelling against God and against Moses, and God sends a plague of serpents. And God tells Moses, get a staff and put a bronze and put a serpent on it. How could it be that Bnei Israel could see the serpent if they were all scattered in all four directions? Ask yourself this question. Where was the staff placed? If it was in the north, could the people that were on the south, where the tabernacle sat, on the south of the tabernacle or the west of the tabernacle, could see the staff? How did they see the staff? And how big was the staff? Now, I always try to give you something different every year. Think about that for a second. How did everybody see the staff? Because it says, all you have to do is look upon the staff, and you will be what? Healed. Right? That's all they have to do. Just put your eyes on the staff, and you will be healed. Right? I have another question. Think about what I'm going to say. How high was the staff elevated so that Bnei Israel could look up to the serpent? And why were they looking up?
So did it come in? Was it in the clouds?
I'm sorry?
Was it in the clouds?
Was it in the clouds? No, but that's a good analogy. It could have been. What if it was?
Everybody could see it.
Everybody could see it. Okay. So let's get into the study, all right? I already got your attention, and there's something you need to understand. The key verse today is going to be in the Gospel of John, John chapter 3. We're going to do a lot of New Testament reading today. Okay? Oh, I'm sorry, the New Covenant. The Brit HaKadasha.
Besora, the Besora.
Avinu Malkeinu, my Father, my King, as we come before your throne of grace, O glorious one, we give you all the praise, we give you all the accolade for your mercies and your forever. Abba, Father, as we stand before your presence, O glorious God, we give you all the praise and all the accolade. God, for your love and your compassion that you have for us, O God. You have such patience with us, such unforgivable love that you have for us. When we go astray, when we sin, you're always there ready to embrace us with an open arm. And just to say, come back, my son. Come back, my daughter. I've been waiting for you. Lord, in these past weeks, you have heard me, you have seen me cry before your presence. Or sometimes I forget your love. That it's unconditional. And that all you want from us is obedience to your word, to follow your commandments, to do the very best of following your commandments. And Father, we can have our own ideas, we can have our own assumptions of things, and we can believe what we interpret. Sometimes that interpretation is not correct. And we can draw up dissension among the family because they don't believe how we believe, or they misinterpreted what we said. But your word is so simple that even a child can understand. So Father, as I stand before your presence, I humble myself before your mighty hand and I ask for your forgiveness. That's all I want to do, is share your word the way it was given to us. I thank you for the men of the great assembly that were before us. The leaders of Israel who gave their lives to write down the things that we didn't understand, that they're for us to read and to understand and apply it to our lives. I thank you for the gift of your Son, Messiah Yeshua. That he came and he's going to come again. And Lord, let us be ready to embrace him with open arms when he comes back. Even if he were to walk into this room this day, this very moment, I assure you that we would not recognize him. We have limbs and images of who we think he is. But might be different than what we believe. But nevertheless, I pray that the Ruach will guide us to all truth as we get ready to drive into your word, illuminate us with your countenance, saturate us with your praises. In everything you taught us to give you praise and accolade of glorious one, and we say, Baruch atah Adonai, Elohim melech haolam, asher kitishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu, la'asot b'direi Torah. Right, let's go into the Word of avila, chapter 19, verse 1. V'deber Adonai el Moshe li'amor. That's the first verse. What was the Lord conveying here to Moses and to Aaron? Verse 2 is where it starts. Beth, can you put this word on the board? This letter. Let's do a het kuf tav. Kuf. Tav. Okay. Look at verse 2. It says, "This is the statutes of the law which the Lord has commanded, saying, Speak to the children of Israel that they bring you a red heifer, faultless, with no blemish, and upon which never came yoke." So he gives the outline of how this animal is supposed to be. Not a yoke, not a blemish. Okay? Why is this word that we put on the board very important for us today? And what is that word?
Chukhat.
And it means?
Don't remember.
Chukhat, right? Ordinances, the law. We will try to understand this word, and I'll tell you, we will never understand it. Even the greatest mind, Solomon, could not understand the meaning of this word.
I don't feel so bad now.
Well, you shouldn't, because people have tried to understand the meaning of this word, and no one can come out with a definitive answer to what it means. Basically, God is telling us, don't worry about it. It's there. But the ordinances and the law that was given to Bnei Israel was on the consequences of sin. The red heifer was given to them, or by God to them, because of the sin of what? The golden calf. Okay? That was the antidote for that sin. According to history, it says that 10 heifers were to be sacrificed. 9 heifers have been already sacrificed. And every year people get excited, oh, we found the red heifer, it's perfect.
But it's not.
But it's not. In the last, 10 years maybe, we have heard that there's been a red heifer, and all Israel is well and rejoicing that the Mashiach is going to be coming. And then they do a thorough inspection of the animal, and it's not.
Did you say 10 have to be
Sacrificed.
sacrificed?
9 have been sacrificed already. The 10th red heifer is going to be sacrificed by who? Mashiach, the high priest, the Kohen HaGadol. He's the one who's going to sacrifice it. Okay? Okay, Sonia? Sure. All right. So, again, I said the red heifer was used to make someone who was impure become pure. So put the word impure and become pure. And I'm going to give you the word just to spell it out. T-A-M-E-I, tamid, that is impure. T-A-M-E-I, T-A-M-E-I, that's impure. And the word tahor, T-A-H-O-R, means pure. But before we talk about the red heifer, there were rules, there were laws and regulations that when a person becomes impure, he cannot be allowed to go into the yard of the Mishkan or of the tabernacle. If he goes, write this word down, B apostrophe M-E-I-Z-I-D. This word means to do something on purpose. To do something on purpose. If this person does that, then he is punished by the word karas, K-A-R-E-I-S.
Karas or carrot?
Or karas.
No, carrot. Is that, are you reading an Ashkenazi book?
Yeah, karas, yes.
So it's spelt with a T.
Well-
Ashkenazi do the S. Yeah, I just want to make sure we're not
Okay.
confused here.
Now, when a person does that, this person will die at the age of 60.
Oh, I made it. I'm 61.
So you made it, Daniel?
I made it, yeah, man. Gee whiz. That's a good one.
Glad you encouraged, Daniel. Glad you
Oh, just a
encouraged.
little bit, you know. I mean, I'm only 2 months in, you know. So,
You made it though. 2
Yeah.
yards, 2 months,
Let's see.
2 inches. You made it.
yeah, exactly. You know, it's always been by the skin of my teeth.
So he died before he turns 60. Okay? But if you went into the yard or around the Mishkan or enter the tabernacle by mistake, he must bring a sacrifice. And the sacrifice is chatas. What is chatas there, Scotty?
Patas?
Yeah.
That's
The sin offering, isn't it?
that's what it's translated as, yeah.
So he brings in a sacrifice, the chatas sacrifice. C-H-A-T-A-S. That is a sin sacrifice. This was the antidote to that he could be forgiven for his sin. Okay? I'm sorry?
Yes.
Yes. Okay? So when the person makes a sin by mistake, that is called, write it down here, right? B apostrophe S-H-O-G-E-G. Chukhat, and this means by accident. I assure you that many of us will fall into that category. What's the matter, Daniel? What's the matter, Daniel?
No, just something made sense all of a sudden.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like things that make sense.
So that's why it is very important that when we do these things, we gotta do one thing. Put it in capital letters. T E S H U V A H. Teshuvah. Which means we need to repent, and yet we need to bring the sacrifice for the sin offering. You all have this, or we're going to erase, but there's going to be more. So Daniel, you've already slid in, right?
Hmm?
You've already slid in?
Yeah, I think so. Or no more on the full moon.
Or not.
Or not.
We all got it? Can we erase? Okay. So, with that said,
Either way, you didn't know, right?
the question is, how does a believer become pure so that we can enter, so that he could enter back into the yard around the tabernacle? There are several types of tumah, T-U-M-A-H. So, remember, tamid, T-A-M-E-I, and what's that word is? Impure, right? Okay. If the person became impure by touching a dead, non-kosher animal, he must emerge into the mikvah and then have to wait until midnight. Okay? Once it is night, he is tahor, T-A-H-O-R. So that was rule number one. So if he touches an animal that's impure or non-kosher, he needs to go do a mikvah or immerse in water, and he has to wait till night, then he becomes pure. Once that happens, he is allowed to enter into the courtyard.
So let's just use this as an example. You happen to be in a kitchen at your neighbor's house, and you reach in and you grab, you're reaching around that ham that's there. You just touch the carcass of an impure animal, right?
Right.
I mean, I'm just using that as an example, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Was it glazed with a pineapple and the cherry on top?
I don't know. I was kind of puking. I was puking as I was imagining the scenario. You know?
Oh, okay. Yeah, it really will be. So then you have to go to you have to do a mikvah, right?
Go take a shower.
Go take a shower. No, a mikvah. All right. So here we go.
I'm gonna put mikvah where my shower at, but I can qualify it.
Now
Mikvah is no longer a shower.
Now it's going to get better. If a person becomes impure, tamid again, this is there. But if he touches a dead person, here's where it gets sticky. If he touches a dead person, or if he enters a room where there is a dead person, the tamid is much stronger. Got that? Touches a dead person, or he's in a room where there's a dead person, it becomes more severe. Let's put it that way. So the only way that a person can become pure from touching a dead person or by being in the same room where the dead person is to sprinkle water with the red heifer, the ashes of the red heifer. But someone has to sprinkle the water from the red heifer on him. Remember how I started, right?
Yes.
Only then does that person become pure, and only then that person is allowed to go into the yard of the tabernacle. Okay? Because it gets more complicated. Put the word parah, P-A-R-A-H, adumah, A-D-U-M-A-H. It's P-A-R-A-H, maybe not B.
The first word.
It's okay, honey, I'll get you your frosty later on. P-A-R-A-H. Still wrong.
Take the H off.
What was the P? Guys.
Oh, I said frosty, she got all excited.
So just out of curiosity,
There you go.
you know what's the Hebrew spelling on parah?
Okay, hold on.
Okay.
So, this is the red heifer. Is it a male or a female?
Heifer, female.
Female. It's a female. It's a female. Because the word para, underline the word para, means cow. And the word aduma means red. And this animal needs to be completely red. It may not have a mum, M-U-M. Put the word mum, M-U-M. The word M-U-M means a blemish.
BL.
Okay? So, also this animal must have never had a yoke placed on it in order to do the work, like pull a wagon or a plow.
What if the animal has given birth? It's female.
Good question.
Yeah, right? I never thought about that at
Never
all
thought
until
about
this
that one
moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Torah doesn't explicitly name that. If that is a case, then that's rabbinical.
Well, I don't know. But
Yeah, because the
I'm
Torah
just saying.
doesn't say that. It just says it
Yeah,
has to be
but just
without
a
blemish.
thought, you know.
It does. It
Just
says
a
without
thought.
blemish and red. That's
Okay.
it. And no yoke.
So would birthing create the blemish?
No age.
Hmm?
It doesn't get an age.
Okay.
You know, stretch marks and stuff, you know. No, I don't know. It's a blem.
Okay then.
But you got to wonder if how old can a cow be unblemished?
Well, she goes rubs against the thorns and stuff.
But that's
or
what I'm
the
saying. The
posts.
older she is, the more likely she's going to be blemished.
Exactly.
So it has to be probably a year. Just
I wonder what the analogy there is.
yeah,
Hmm.
Just as the other one.
yeah.
How old was this animal need to be?
I mean, it doesn't
Did
specifically
it say
say.
yearling? No, I don't think so.
No, the Torah doesn't say. That's what I'm saying. If there's something,
It doesn't. The Torah doesn't give us a year or a time frame.
How about the oral?
I don't think so. Let me check right quick.
We can just assume.
oh, you know what they say about assumption.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I mean,
I would say it's like making a
What do they say? What do they say?
Makes a booty out of you and me.
A booty now? It's a booty? That's quick. You're quick, brother.
My daughter's embarrassed by me.
Is she embarrassed by dad? Just wait till she gets older. I'm sure there'll be much more
Yeah.
reasons to be embarrassed.
It doesn't say. It doesn't say how year it is. So this animal is going to be slaughtered completely, right? Everything's going to be burned, right? So the priest, the high priest, will get the ashes, or before that, will
Hold on, just Rabbi.
Yes, sir.
So if it's completely burned, what type of offering is it?
Oh, very good question.
What?
Ola.
A burnt offering.
And it's called a
An olah.
olah, O-L-A-H, the olah offering.
Just trying to get them to correlate back to Leviticus.
Yeah.
Okay, olah.
how old?
Huh?
How old
You
We
don't
just
know.
had that conversation.
for the Ola?
Oh, for the olah? I don't remember.
Doesn't say.
I don't think so.
Doesn't say.
Because an olah offering is just a complete burnt offering. It doesn't give like.
Okay? So, everything is burned. So, when the red heifer is burned, the Kohen would then get a stick and he would put a piece of grass at the end, and then he would tie the grass with a red thread, and then this thread that was dyed red with the blood of a worm, then they would throw the bundle into the fire. After the red heifer is completely burned, its ashes are mixed with water, spring water. Why spring water and not regular water?
It's not contaminated.
Huh?
It's not contaminated.
Maim Haim.
Mime high, why? Because it's gotta be running water. It's gotta be running water because there's life. When you have water in a pool, it's stagnant. Okay? Bacteria can set in. but it's gotta be running water. That's why whenever they did the mikvahs, it had to be in a river or in a spring.
So you're saying that this animal is being dipped inside of a river or?
No, the ashes afterwards
ashes.
is mixed with spring.
Mixed with water that's running from a spring.
Okay, so are you just throwing it into the spring? Because the second you collect it, it's no longer running.
You're gonna get water that's from the spring and you're gonna mix it with the ashes of the red heifer.
I get that, but is there a time frame that
It doesn't
would say,
say.
you know, hey, I just grabbed this water, oh God, I did it more than 10 seconds,
It
it's no
doesn't
longer,
say.
you know what I mean?
Right, it doesn't say.
So,
Now, here's where it's
the
got more.
complexities.
Okay, here's where it becomes more technical. Now, ask yourself this question: why did Hashem give these instructions to Bnei Israel in the beginning of chapter 19 of Numbers? Why did he say, you will need to understand these regulations and these ordinances that I give you today for the rest of your lives?
Now, how about this? Let's add the fact that the Torah is not written in chronological order.
I understand that. But let's go back to what I just said. Why did Hashem give these ordinances? Come on.
Somebody's got an idea here.
What's
Yeah.
your idea?
So, with the passing of Aaron and Miriam, the commentary says that that generation is past. The only person left is Moses, and of course, if you believe the Midrash, the old women. Okay? So, this command at this point is being given to the new generation.
Why?
It was never given to the past generation.
Why?
Because they weren't going to get cleaned up.
They're about to mess up.
They were messed up.
No, they're about to mess up.
There's more to this. You guys are on the right track, but there's more to it. Through the history, there was going to be a lot of bloodshed. And they needed to know the regulations of purification before they could enter into the tabernacle. They had to know the regulations. But just like you said, now that you jumped the gun, I was going to wait to this. What year did Miriam die? What year did Aaron die? You said right now that these laws were given to the future generation,
To the next
to
generation.
the next generation, right? So what year did Miriam and Aaron die? They died in the beginning of the 40th year that they were in the wilderness. Okay? They've been 40 years. So the laws and the regulations of chukhat, of the red heifer, were given for, as Scotty said, to the future generations. You need to know the regulations because this is going to affect you. If you don't know the rules, you will never be able to come before my presence. Today, does this apply to us today? Come on, we're here to study.
Yes.
Yes.
It does. But we don't have a temple. We don't have a Kohen Gadol. How does it apply to us? Do we believe in the Mashiach? Definitely. I said that these couple of weeks, the Lord's been dealing with me. Every time I go into the study room, I know that He's there when I'm doing the prayers and I'm studying and praying for you guys. I know that He's there with me. And one of the songs that makes me cry over and over again is He's Alive. He says, play it. And I play that song, and just between here and I, man, my eyes get watery and I start choking up because He's alive.
Okay, let's backtrack to what you just
Backtrack, okay.
Okay. So,
What you thinking, Captain?
yeah, I did. I adjusted my kit.
Just as you're thinking, Captain.
Yeah. Turn it on now. Let's turn it on. Okay, so backtracking to what you said at the very beginning. The next red heifer will be offered by the Mashiach. Correct?
Correct.
Okay. So, What does that make all of us at this point since there's no Mashiach?
Unclean.
Unclean.
All of us.
All of us. What makes us clean though?
Faith.
Our faith. You say, okay, so you're telling me by what you're saying that, wait, hold on, now it's my turn.
Okay.
That's my turn. So what you're saying is that we definitely need to have a physical sacrifice to be cleansed according to Torah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Alright. So if the Messiah comes and we don't embrace his sacrifice, his atonement, he died on the cross, right?
Yeah.
He resurrected, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we believe.
So we believe. And we believe in what? Come on. Let's go. We're going to study here. I only got 24 more minutes before I stop because you're going to be teaching here momentarily. Come on.
Come on, guys.
Come on. The chair. This is what I'm saying. Well, let's go to John chapter 3. Let the Bible speak. John chapter 3. And I didn't bring my Bible, so
Here you go.
So you guys are going to read.
Here you go.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I got one over here.
No, that's okay.
What do you need one?
Go ahead. Chapter 14. John 3, verse 14. This is going to be very interesting, my brothers. John chapter 3, starting verse 14. Who wants to read?
And as Moshe lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, even so the Son of Adam has to be lifted up.
Okay, so just like Moses lifted up the serpent, right? So now we're fast forward. The red heifer is, the sacrifices of the red heifer have been gone already. There is a plague because of the rebellion, right? Okay, so the Son of Man needs to be lifted up, right? Is that what you read? Continue reading. You got to read that.
Is it after that?
Hold on. Yeah.
So that whoever is believing in him should not perish, but possess everlasting life.
Okay. So, do we believe? Do we possess everlasting life? Yes, right? Do we deny that gift? I hope not. The next verse.
For Elohim so loved the world,
And he gave his only begotten
his
Son.
only begotten Son, brought forth Son, so that everyone who believes in him should not perish, but possess everlasting life.
But possess what?
Everlasting life.
Everlasting life, right? It's a gift. Right? Did I have to go bring a sacrifice to be saved? What was my sacrifice? What was your sacrifice?
I disagree with that.
And Scott says, I disagree with that.
I disagree.
All right. I didn't know Torah when I did that.
Yeah, I didn't either.
I didn't know Torah. What did I do? Or what did you do? Confess your sins? You believed and you cried and you asked for forgiveness, you asked for clemency, for mercy? Right?
Okay, let's talk about that since you brought it up.
No. You said you don't believe.
No. Let's talk about it. Let's
Okay,
discuss
talk about it.
Okay, so the Christians teach that Jesus' death is a sacrifice.
That's what they teach.
But Torah teaches that human sacrifice is an
Yes.
abomination
Please
before
go
God.
there.
So how can he be a sacrifice?
Okay?
Okay,
And if you sacrificed, your throat is slit. His throat wasn't slit, so he doesn't qualify as a sacrifice.
But he is executed for all of the failures to honor Shabbat, as an example.
No.
Yes.
Physically speaking, if we're talking physically, now you can apply spiritual all you want. Physically speaking, he was executed because he was considered a criminal.
Yeah. So Shabbat.
A criminal against, wait,
Hilul
wait,
Shabbat is a crime.
wait, let me finish. He was crucified because he was called the King of the Jews. His crucifixion wasn't done by the Jews. It was done by the Romans.
Correct.
The Jews could not execute. That privilege had been removed from them. This is the reason they appealed to Pontius Pilate, because only he could kill. So what was he tried and murdered for? Being called the King of the Jews. It was against the King of Rome.
It was still an illegal court, and
I agree.
Come on.
That's why it's murder. That's why it's
Yeah,
murder.
it
Okay,
is. I agree that
let's
it's
talk
murder.
about that. Why is it an illegal court?
because it happened at night for one.
It was done at night. The trial was supposed to be during the day so anybody could
Witness?
witness it or stand against it. So it was a kangaroo court, as we would say today.
And we're witnessing them today live.
Yeah, it's a kangaroo court.
Well, you're saying the reason was because he was called himself a king?
That's what they nailed to the cross
Well, that's.
in
that's-
3 languages.
Yes, but that's how they. brought
Which,
up-
that's a good Hebrew thing, which I know Rabbi's taught before. If you look at what they wrote up there.
Mm-hmm.
But that was how they brought it up to, what's.
Pontius Pilate.
So that he could approve
The killing.
the killing.
Yes.
But the intention was a different one,
Okay, you got to understand. One, the court was illegitimate because it wasn't a Jewish court.
Yeah,
It wasn't a Jewish court.
Come on. I like this, where we're going with this.
mm-hmm. But during that court,
Yes.
so what was the argument about him being a?
So who really wanted him? Let's talk about it. Who really wanted him dead? Was it the Jews that wanted him dead, or was it the Romans that wanted him dead? Who? No. It was the Romans that wanted him dead. The Jewish court was all made up of Romans. There were no Jews on the court. That's what made it an illegitimate court.
Are we talking about the 70
No,
numbers?
that's the same.
No, we're not talking about the Sanhedrin.
They weren't there.
Well, they would also decide as to.
Yeah, but
They did.
okay, the Sanhedrin came later. Let's not talk about the Sanhedrin. We're talking about the Gospels.
Sure, we can talk about
Yeah,
this.
during that time, what was it?
The Sanhedrin didn't last as long as people think they did. But that's another story.
All right.
We're talking about Yeshua and his death.
Yeah, that's why I'm.
So was he a sacrifice?
Was he sacrificed?
No, the question is, was he a sacrifice?
That's the question. Because that's what we're taught in Christianity. He's a sacrifice. Well, human sacrifice is an abomination before God. So that means if he was a human sacrifice, it was abominable before God. That's where the logic takes you.
So what do you think it is, Hut?
What's this?
He's dead.
His death?
Yeah. He just died,
Yes.
okay? Didn't bring atonement for anybody. Right?
Okay.
Because
Because if you're beginning to talk about atonement, that's a different story.
Well, I understand that, but it had the same principle, because here I have 2 words.
Mm-hmm.
What's the first word?
Nahash, snake.
On the Nahash snake. Put it out, and you're gonna spell this. I'm gonna put my cheaters on.
N-A-S-H. N-A-C-H, I'm sorry.
Well, that's another way to spell it. The way that I have it is N-A-K-H-A-S-H.
What's that difference?
Nakash.
A-H.
N-A-K-H-A-H.
Adam H.
And it's an N. That is called a snake.
So do I have everybody confused now?
Yes.
Good. Good.
Okay. The second word, what is?
That's intriguing.
Nahashat.
Nahashat. And that is, okay, N-E-K-H-O-S-H-E-T. That is bronze.
Oh.
Go to Genesis 3:14. Somebody read Bereshit 3:14. So you got everybody confused there, Papa.
I know.
So how you gonna defuse?
I know the answer.
Well, then you're gonna have to give the explanation when you teach right now.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody? Bereshit 3:14.
And Adonai Elohim said to the Nahash, because you have done this, you are cursed more than all the livestock and more than every beast of the field. On your belly you are to go and eat dust all the days of your life.
Why was the snake cursed?
Because he was the instrument of Eve's demise.
Because Eve ate the venom, which was the sin, and it trickled down to all humanity.
Are we gonna have that conversation again?
Scott? No, Scott, no.
What conversation?
I don't know, but Daniel wants to have another conversation. I says no, because then we're going to be here all night.
You know which conversation.
Okay.
Okay, repeat the answer.
No, there is no answer.
Because the snake or the made Eve eat.
She listened to the
She
snake.
listened and she ate the sin, and it contaminated all humanity with chet, sin. Underline the first three letters.
While Rabbi's doing that, this is the reason that Adam named her Eve, the mother of all living. Because everything, all mankind is now birthed in sin. She's the mother of all living.
But it's Hava, not Eve.
Hava.
Chava. The top is a covenant.
The covenant with the snake.
The covenant plus the snake is bronze. Numbers 21:9, verse 9 in chapter 21 of Numbers. Numbers 21, verse 9. Do the sacrifice of the red heifer apply here?
21 what?
9? You're already very quiet back there. Don't fall asleep. It's going to get better now. Just watch. Scotty opened up a can of worms. I'm not done yet.
I did. I'm going to let you close it.
You opened it. 21:9. What does it say?
So Moses made a bronze serpent and put it on the pole, and so it was, if the serpent had bitten anyone, when he looked at the bronze serpent, he lived.
Louder.
Louder, please.
So
You got
Moses
that in
made
Hebrew?
a bronze snake and put it on a pole. Then when anyone was bitten by a snake and looked at the bronze snake, they lived.
What verse, guys?
That's 19.
21:9. 21:9. So,
Tommy Bart?
Yes.
okay. All of us are in sin where we are complaining. We always like to complain. We lost the water. We have no water. After Miriam dies. And something I want to show you. Mika, are you a good artist? Just put below the word covenant, but just draw a picture of a rock. Below the word covenant.
Yeah, I have it in front of me. What do you want,
Yeah,
out of
rock.
it? What do you want out of it?
All right.
Anyone.
It's got a big old hay in the middle of it.
Okay, here's a rock. According to tradition, according to Torah, Hashem tells Moses what and Aaron? Go and speak to the rock, right? Because Bnei Israel complained because once Miriam dies, the rock stops giving water. Right? There's no water.
Really?
And they go and they complain, they tell Moses, Moses, we're going thirsty. You brought us to the wilderness. It was better that we go back into Egypt where there was plenty of water. Okay? So, Moses goes before Bnei Israel in their tent, which is situated in front of the entrance to the tabernacle. That's where Moses' tent was. And he tells Bnei Israel, listen, the Lord said that he was going to give us water. But what happened to the rock? That the rock rolled away from the entrance of the tabernacle, and God mingled with other rocks. Moses didn't know which was the rock.
Interesting.
What did Moses do? He goes and he prays to a rock, and the rock doesn't give water.
Is that when he did it the second time?
That's what the commentaries that I read 3 commentaries. They all point to almost the same thing in
At
different.
that same moment. So
Uh-huh.
that was that was way. So it wasn't the first time that the rock gave water.
No, because the first time he said, strike the rock and the rock will give water. That was the first time.
The second time is when
He
he
said, speak
to the rock.
Speak to the rock.
So this is 40 years apart.
Yes,
Really?
yes. So God wanted for Bnei Israel
Second
to
event.
trust in Him. Okay? Just like today, we need to trust in God. Right?
Boy,
How many of you had a good week this week? How many of you had a hard week this week?
I'll say it was a total.
Okay? We go through trials and tribulations. And once we stumble, we have a tendency to ask for clemency.
Was my 10 indicated?
And sometimes God says, I'm going to give you clemency. And it's like Baruch Hashem. We go through trials and tribulations. So,
But clemency is not a full pardon, is it?
no, it's not. But
There's a
wait,
difference.
this. Okay, so Moses strikes the rock, and the rock starts to draw water. That's what the Torah says, right? But it says that each of the 12 princesses of each of the 12 tribes draw a line, just to draw some lines away from the rock, down vertical, just down, diagonal. No, from the rock, from the bottom, from the bottom, just straight
Let's
down.
put some pipes there.
No, from the bottom of the rock. Yeah.
Yeah, all
From
across.
the edge of the rock.
From the edge of the rock.
Just
All
down.
the way
left,
down. Just
Left,
down.
right, up,
There you
down.
go.
Yeah.
All the
Put
way.
some,
Do some more. Do some more.
Put a
No,
bunch.
some more lines. Some more
a
lines.
bunch. Just a bunch of lines. Down.
No, on the other side.
Down.
Around the rock. Okay.
Go,
We're gonna make you a Picasso.
here you go. Now go down.
You wanna be a
Go in the middle.
Picasso or
Pretend it's a 360-degree circle and just go from 150 degrees to about
straight down.
240.
Straight down.
You're confused, Joe.
Well, I'm trying to give her something that might work, you know? I don't know what she knows.
Some more. Some more. What she's doing? They're not just mere lines.
Those are feeders.
It says that every prince of each tribe, once the rock started to give water, that water would flow to that tribe. And it wasn't a little trickle of water, it wasn't a spring, it was like a river. Remember, there's over 600,000 men of war, plus the children, plus the elderly, plus their wives, plus the strangers, plus the animals.
4 times the population of El Paso.
Okay? So each tribe, each prince from each tribe had water flowing to that tribe. Was that a miracle? And God says to Moses and Aaron, because you did not obey me in letting my name be sanctified before the children of Israel, all I told you was to speak to the rock, but you struck the rock. You will not be the ones chosen to enter into the promised land.
So now, is the word tributary attributable to the word tribe and this?
Could be, but check this out. I'm not done yet here. So, Bnei Israel now has water. But they were still complaining. God was still giving them the manna. And what was the manna? You would eat the manna and it would be whatever you wanted it to be. And the manna was a meal that your body would be absorbed into you. Okay? Erase the rock and the lines, Picasso?
The rock looks like a heart.
It is. Really?
Not a bad
Just
thing.
the one with 40 minutes.
Not a bad.
Not a bad, could it be a heart? Yeah, could be.
Heart of
A
stone.
Full of rivers of living water, right? So here we go. Number one. We're going number one. There were things that the Jews could not do. If you had a relative that was bitten by a snake, you could not apply a ointment for healing for the wounds. You could not apply a ointment to the wound of your relative. Number two,
Could you self-apply? Self-medicate?
you could, but it won't do any good. Because it says that when the snake bit, it was like a burning sensation. Nothing could
Stop it.
stop
Yeah,
the burning sensation.
Looks like today.
Number two, you could not minister to that person to bring healing or comfort. They were on their own.
Looks like today.
Huh? Minister
To the afflicted.
to the afflicted. Afflicted. Number three, you could not fight off the serpents.
Sounds like Revelation-ish stuff.
Here's where it's going to get very, very interesting. You could not pray to the serpents.
Why would you?
Okay?
Maybe he did.
You got that? So, okay, so let's erase that. I mean, so we can go into the next.
Hold on.
Hold on. Okay, hold on. I want us to go to the book of John, chapter 8. Everybody got that? So before we erase?
Okay.
So the solution to this was all they had to do was look to the serpent and then we could heal, right? So, again I said, how tall was this pole and how big was the serpent on top of the pole? So the whole Israel could see it. It is said, you don't have to agree with me, but it is said that the pole was elevated into the sky. It elevated into the sky. Again, somebody said something of
I said in the clouds.
The clouds, right? It was elevated into the sky, so that everybody could look up to the serpent, to the pole. Meaning that, I'm sorry?
I'm just thinking, it sounds like Yeshua, Mashiach was the pole representing the Messiah.
Right. So well, here we go.
Messiah.
Well, we're going to see scripture in John chapter 8. Mark it read for us, John chapter 8, okay? Starting in verse 28. So,
I think we should reverse that and say Yeshua HaMashiach is like the serpent.
so here it is. Watch.
The serpent was first.
Yeah.
So the pole is elevated. Everybody looks up to this pole, to this pole, and everybody's healed. Now the plague is all the way around Israel. People are being bitten by, and people die because of their faith, of their disbelief and murmur against God. So all they had to do was look at this pole and they would be saved. So the pole was elevated. Okay? So as we get into this, one of the things that I'm going to share here with you, that pole came down. John 8:28, what did it say?
Then said Yeshua unto them, when ye have lifted up the Son of Man, then shall ye know that I am he, and that I do nothing of myself, but as my Father hath taught me, I speak these things.
Okay, John 8:32. I mean John 12:832 and John 12:834. John 12, verse 32 and 34.
What was John 8?
John 8:28. How's the fruit, son?
And I, if I be lifted up from the earth, I will draw all men unto me. This he said, signifying what death he would die. And the people answered him, We have heard out of the law that Christ abideth forever, and how sayest thou, the Son of Man must be lifted up? Who is the Son of Man?
Up to verse 34? Okay, so it has to be lifted up, right?
Yes.
All right, so we have the brother, the star. I mean the pole, right? All right. Put the word noon, het, and shin. What's the numerical value for the letter noon?
50.
50.
Put 50.
And the het?
8.
8. And the shin?
300.
300, right? So put below 358. Right?
Put it out to the left. It's you're gonna be using a lot of space in the next 2 minutes.
Okay. Next word.
Yep.
Mem. Shin. Yod. Hey.
40 for the mem.
40.
300 for the shin. 10. 5. Something's wrong. Oh, it's not a hey, it's a het. Above the 5, change that to a het.
I'm sorry, it's a het.
And make it an 8. Now it works.
And what's that name on the bottom? Moshiach. M, below it, or above it, M-O-S-H-I-A-C-H. And the next word is snake. Oh. 350 is a miracle value for both, right?
Mm-hmm.
Today in the medical profession, what is the emblem that the doctors have and the nurses have their emblems on their collars? The snake and the pole, right? What does it mean?
No. Healing.
What did she say?
Evil.
Evil.
Healing.
Now,
Can I just address what she just...
go ahead, the floor is yours, my brother.
He asked, what does it say? And you said evil. No. The text says that when they look up, the text says that when they look up, they will be healed. At what? The serpent on the pole. So the serpent on the pole represents healing, not sin. Represents healing. Well, that's actually a Western concept that serpents are evil. Because we are afraid of snakes, we think that they're evil. They're
Speak
not
for yourself.
evil.
Okay, how many of us are afraid of snakes? How many are not afraid of snakes?
Certain snakes.
I just leave them alone.
Leave them alone,
Leave
huh?
them alone, they leave you
Well, you
alone.
got my friend 12 gauge, my friend machete, my friend pitchfork, as needed.
So,
You got
so,
company.
so what do you do? Now, isn't that some of the remedies I've heard, homemade remedies of the past, that some of the remedies, they come from snake,
Snake oil.
and it's a healing? How could it be that something we call evil, it's good for healing?
Too much of it stuff.
It's not called,
Well, but remember, kosher deals with eating,
unless you're gonna eat it.
which I know a lot of people that eat snake.
If you're in the wilderness and it's either that or death, starvation or death, or eating a snake, what are you gonna do? What?
Eat a rabbit.
Rabbit is not kosher.
Why is it kosher?
Because God said so.
That's simple.
It's very good. On the pages that we forgot to bring for each and every one of you, it's there.
Yes, I have.
It's gonna tell you about the kosher and the non-kosher, what we can eat and what we cannot eat. So next week, we'll bring all 18 pages, each is gonna have your own pages, so you can put them in your own book. Okay? There are 18 pages of information on the teaching that we have done from Leviticus, moving forward. That's why Scotty always says, we need to the sacrifices are very important, the sacrifices are very important. They're very important for us today. And unless we know the sacrifices, we don't know what the Bible was telling. That's why in the Hebrew schools, a little boy or a little girl, when they go to school, the very first book that they teach them is Leviticus. Once they study and learn Leviticus, then they proceed to Bereshit and the rest is history. We in the Western world, when we came to the Lord, the first one, I want to study Revelation.
Or John.
Look at John. Yeah.
The very first question I asked, okay, so how do you read this? How do you read this book? What is the first book you read? And they said, go to Matthew. Start in Matthew. I didn't know. So then, about 3 months later, I says, okay, I already finished. And they say, took you to read 3 months to read Matthew. No, I read from Matthew to Revelation. I did them all. What's more to read? Read some more. Read it again. I did it again. So I said, what's more to read? Read it again. I did it again. Because I wanted to know who was this individual that set me free from alcoholism? Who delivered me? I wanted to know. Simple as that. And it wasn't until I came to a group of Jews that started talking about the festivals. I said, what's that?
Yep.
And I said, you don't know? No, I don't know. That's why I'm asking. What are the festivals? And they said, well, we have Passover, Shavuot, Sukkot, Yom Kippur, Rosh Hashanah. I said, oh, so we don't do Christmas and Easter? And I mean, it was like I was disrespectful. I'm not disrespectful to you, and if I am, forgive me. I want to learn. I want to know. If you have the secret, how come you haven't shared with us or shared with me? I want to know. And my very first festival that I got hooked up was Sukkot. And I said, wow. All the details and the decorations, the meaning of each thing that was done to make the sukkah, the palm branches, the myrtle, the willows.
Is that your favorite festival?
That's one of my favorites, but Pesach is the favorite for me, Passover. But when you study these festivals and you know by detail the significance of each element that goes into the festival, you appreciate what God has done in your life. Because He's all around us. Okay? So, Miriam dies in what year?
The beginning of the 40th.
In the beginning of the 40th year. Aaron dies in the beginning of during the middle of the 40th year. And Moshe is going to die at the end of the 40th year. but something happens here. Okay, so Miriam died, there's no water. When Aaron dies, what happens?
Cloud.
The cloud moves. So what was the cloud doing for Bnei Israel?
Giving them shade,
Huh?
giving them shade.
More than that. More than that. Those answers are correct. Shade and guidance. The cloud was flattening the land. There were no thorns. There were no scorpions. There were no snakes that would bite Bnei Israel. It says that even the mountains would be flattened by the cloud and they would walk on level ground. And they still complain. Another miracle that was done, that the children would never wear, their clothes would never wear out. As they were growing, their clothes would grow with them. Their shoes would grow with them. Can you imagine if you had a shirt of Air Jordan shoes?
Man, I'd keep those things forever. I could have kept my golden slippers that I slept with.
Those slippers would have grown with her feet. Is that a miracle?
Yes.
It's a miracle, right? And the beauty about this, they never got sick. They never got sick. No asthma, no heart attacks, no sciatic problems with the sciatica, no hay fever, no allergies, and the list goes on and on and on and on. When did all these ailments afflicted us? That's a very good question, right? First century, second century? I think, this is me thinking, all this started to fall upon us when the destruction of the first temple and the second temple occurred, where there were no more sacrifices. That's when it started. Because back then it says that when a person was going to die, a person would just sneeze and would die. Think about that. Is God good to us? Is God merciful with us? So, any questions? Scotty, you gonna be on?
All right, you can go ahead and take my first 20 minutes since I took yours.
Okay, any questions for me?
Yeah, so can you explain the whole Mashiach Jesus down on
No, that's yours. You bring it up.
Are we stopping?
We're gonna stop here for a break. We're gonna take a break so we can stretch our legs and Scotty get